What's up, everybody? Chris from Integral Truck, and welcome to part 2 of the Ram 2500-3500 HD short box install. In part 1, we put in the integral rails, which I've got both passenger side and driver side installed and ready to go for the integral panels. That is part 2. So we're going to be putting a panel here in the rear, we're going to put one in the front, we're going to show you some different options and get them all installed for you in a step-by-step fashion. So let me get the camera turned around and I'll show you the panels and I'll show you the hardware and we'll just get rocking. All right, I hope we don't get too much sun glare from this beautiful spring day in the Pacific Northwest, but here's what we're working with. So we have a half-size panel that's actually going to go up on the cab end. We've got a full-size panel that's going to go on the tailgate end. Now, you can put the half-size panel either horizontal or vertical, and you can put them at the tailgate end. So I'm going to show you what those options are. For tools, we've got a 13mm wrench, 13mm socket and extension. For hardware, we've got our 4 bolts with the washers. We've got our rail nuts that slide into the rails, and I've got a 70mm rubber-ended standoff for the larger panel that's going to be set up right here next to the tailgate. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So here we are at the tailgate end of the truck, and the panel we're going to be putting up is this guy. This is a full-size integral panel. It's going to be sitting about right here, and of course the lock is going to be facing the rear, so you'd be able to access it with the tailgate down, make it real quick and simple. It does have a nice little standoff here, so it sits out far enough to clear this panel. It clears the wheel well, and then of course our rubber standoff is going to go right in the center to make sure it doesn't flop around in there. Now, you can also run the half panel here too. So you can run a half panel here, you can run it up in the front of the vehicle at the cab end, but just for the sake of this install, we're going to be installing the full-size panel. So first thing you're going to want to do is remove the end cap. Set that down here. And we're going to take 2 of the rail nuts. One's going to slide in from here. Now remember, we had that opening that I did at the cab end, and we've got the bolts holding the bracket in right here. So I'm going to need to go down to the cab end and slide a rail nut in all the way down to about here. And if you hold this guy up, you can see it has 2 holes mounted right here, so you can get an approximate location of where those 2 holes are. It's going to sit about right here. So we're going to grab our bolts and washers. We're going to go right through here to the rail net and get it tightened down. Now before we get too far, let's thread in the 70mm rubber foot that's going to keep it from bouncing around. I'm going to thread it in on the bottom here and go ahead and screw it in pretty much all the way, and we'll adjust it once the panel's all tightened down. Now before we tighten them down all the way, we're going to check clearances. We're going to check this corner back here. We're going to slide this out about 1 inch over the pillar right here. That way your lock will always be secured behind the tailgate and you'll have plenty of room to put a box on it. Once you've got that in place, we'll go ahead and tighten it down. And just like that, the full-size panel's installed. Now you can take the 70mm rubber standoff here, a little foot, and we're just going to back it out until it makes contact with the bed wall. Once it makes contact, you can take the little lock nut, put it all the way up against the panel. That way it's not going to go anywhere, it's nice and secure, and this is ready for any accessory you want to put on it, including the Milwaukee Packout boxes. Now let's head over to the other end and we'll get the half panel installed. All right, and here we have the half-size panel, which, like I said, can be mounted vertically or horizontally. Now we're going to go with the horizontal mount, and we're going to have the lock facing the tailgate of the vehicle. That way it'll have the slanted top like this. That way you can slide accessories on pretty easily, and you've got the lock that you can reach over the bed wall and get to very, very quickly. So what I've done for ease of installation of this one is I put a bolt through the center hole of the half panel and put a rail nut on about 1.5 turns. That way I can slide it in when I need it. Now, very similar to the other end, we are competing with these bolts that are holding the bracket on. So we're going going to slide one rail nut in from the rear and one is going to slide in from the front. But with it already installed on the panel, I'm going to slide one in back here, and then I'll take the whole panel, slide it on, then it'll be held in place. We'll put that one nut in and we'll be good to go. Now remember, first off, got to remove that rear end cap, and we'll slide this rail nut in the rear. Then you can take your half panel with your rail nut already installed, slide it into place up against the bracket, like so. We'll put one nut here in the rear, get it all tightened down, and the half panel is installed. Now with this particular application, I find it's really easy to use an extension with a 13 millimeter on the end of it. That way you can go right through this hole. All right, there we go. Half panel's installed on the cab end. Let's take a look and see what we've got. All right, guys, there you have it. We've got the integral panel set up. Full-size panel in the rear, half-size panel in the front, on the integral rail system in the 2019 and up Ram 2500 3500 HD short box. I know that's a mouthful, but that's what you guys wanted, and that's what we delivered for you. So we can take our Milwaukee Packout boxes, put them right on there, and of course, lock it in place. Keeps your gear secure. Got the smaller size up here on our half panel. Gonna lock that in place also, and there you have it. No more gear cluttering the bed of your truck. Nothing rattling around in the back. You've got it all secure. So if it's tools, supplies, recovery gear, anything you want to keep secured, that's what we build these products for. Now, you're gonna want to keep your eye on Integral Truck. We've got a lot more coming that's gonna be compatible with the rail system. Toolboxes, racks, all kinds of organizers. The possibilities are endless, and this is just the beginning. Now to do the other side, just repeat what we've done here, do it on the opposite side, and I'm gonna get that camera turned around and I'm gonna show you the finished product. Now, all right, guys, you'll have to excuse the filthy tailgate, but let's take a look at the finished product. So here we have it. We've got an integral rail on the passenger side. We've got an integral rail on the driver's side. And of course, we've got the full-size panel right here on the tailgate end and the half-size panels there at the cab end. On the driver's side, we've got a slide and lock cleat, and we've got 4 boxes for plenty of storage space. So declutter the back of that truck. This is the way to do it. And like I said, with a ton of stuff coming from Integral Truck, like racks, tonneau covers, toolboxes, all kinds of neat stuff, the possibilities are endless. So that's it for now. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, definitely let me know. Be glad to hear from you. But this is Chris signing off for Integral Truck. Now get out there and enjoy that sunshine.